Pinocchio is pretty dark. It might seem the opposite to most people, but there are so many themes in this vein that rear their ugly heads in this film, constantly bothering me since, without knowing it, the story describes a state of being noble in a qualitative sense, only by those of us who trend, by nature of our existence, to the bottom of the social hierarchy. This comes mostly from the main plot of the film. Pinocchio specifically is born a fully sentient organism, with emotions and desires like anyone else, yet from birth is cursed to chase a nebulous realness. This stands in opposition to his natural state of being, seemingly by no other metric worse or better than the state of being real, yet still only attainable by Pinocchio by proving to be brave, truthful, and unselfish, despite the fact that everyone else got the state free of charge. He must, in a sense, become one of the good puppets. The few are accepted as real. At first, I believe this describes solely the state of being autistic, and yes, I would say that this feeling of needing to mask my true self to be accepted is far greater for my autism, not only because of the lack of relative political power of the autistic community, but also because autism, unlike any of the other minority groups I'm a part of, affects my behavior inherently and totally, and so fighting against that nature is inherently more distressing. Yet still, this is not the only thing it applies to. In his seminal work Black Skin, White Masks, psychiatrist and philosopher Frantz Fanon describes this phenomenon perfectly in the context of colonialism and racism. What he perhaps did not realize at the time, that is, 1952, was that masking applies in reality to all oppressor-oppressed dynamics. As the black person imitates the culture of the colonizer, so too does the trans woman want nothing more than to pass in the eyes of the cis woman. So too does the gay man claim to be turned straight through therapy. So too does the autistic person stop stimming, stop speaking, stop doing any of the myriad of things that bothers the neurotypical. More than their own dignity, the oppressed person desires above all a sense of normalcy, a sense that they are allowed to live as they are. Pinocchio does not get this. Pinocchio is instead harangued by the same band of bigoted thugs all oppressed people know. Stromboli, the capitalist who exploits the quirks and the labor of the oppressed for the jeering fascination of the oppressors who watch from afar. The Blue Fairy, the moderate liberal who has the power to destroy the oppression but does nothing while pretending to be on the side of the oppressed, only grudgingly doling out the rewards once she has been thoroughly satisfied by their performance. The men who run Pleasure Island, the police who harass the oppressed under the guise of enforcing ethics, entrapping them into disproportionate punishments to maintain the status quo. And finally, Honest John the Fox and his companion, Gideon the Cat, the ones who torture the oppressed for the fun of it. The Blue Fairy punishes Pinocchio for denying her wishes for how he should be by growing his nose. Desperate to undo this humiliation, Pinocchio swears to never defy her again. But what if there were 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 Pinocchios? What if they all, or even if most of them said no, I will not. You can torture me if you want, but I will not bend, I will not break, I will be as I am. Can the Blue Fairy stop them all? There's power in numbers, there's power in organization, there's power even on an individual level of denying your oppressors the satisfaction of seeing you lick their boots. You need not join an activist group yourself, but you should stand in solidarity with those who fight for freedom and say no, I will not mask. My nose is long and heavy, and it will remain so until I am free.